So the other day I dropped a video on why Nigeria is not considered the largest market in Africa, and I was met with a lot of unpleasant comments about how I hate Nigeria, I'm making up stats and I'm clickbaiting, etc., of which I don't mind. It comes with the territory. Check the video out and have a chuckle at my expense. But one comment caught my attention and it said this: "Bro, you capping. Piracy ended a decade ago with the era of CD distributions. Streaming is the new era and you can't pirate it. So where did you get your stats about Nigerian piracy affecting the growth of music in Nigeria?" Even Spotify stated how the growth of Afrobeats, not Amapiano, has increased 500% and more since they curated it as a genre on their platform since 2017. Stop capping. In my head, I'm thinking, my G, calm down, geez. And the conversation went on and this guy just kept getting more and more ridiculous with his answers. But that for another day. I've experienced piracy from cassette tapes, CDs, VHS tapes, DVDs, and onto the likes of LimeWire, Napster, and the lot. I was there for each one of those. Look, I know this is nothing to brag about anyways. I can be petty when I need to be, but I love digging up data, which then led me to making today's video. So thanks to the guy who dropped that comment. The most common misconception is that streaming solved music piracy. It didn't, but it certainly helped. This comes from not understanding the ecosystem or how quickly the entities that engage and profit from piracy evolve to keep up with the technological advancements around them. They don't play. They just don't play. This is what I'm going to shed light on today. Buckle up. It's going to be no BS all the way through. Streaming has actually helped curb piracy by a fair amount, and this is important to state outright because it's found and validated in numerous studies. A report by IFPI found that music piracy declined by 22% globally between 2018 and 2019 as more people switched to legal streaming services. Spotify found that its service alone helped reduce piracy by up to 20% in some markets such as Spain and Norway. Note, it didn't end piracy, but it definitely reduced it. And to also support this, Muso's data, which is MUSO, sourced from its Discover Analytics platform, shows that music piracy declined consistently year on year from January 2017 until the second half of 2020. But get this, it gradually started to increase across 2021. WTF. According to IFPI's annual Engaging with Music reports from 2021 to 2022, compared to 2021, the share of people either practicing stream ripping or illegally downloading music grew by 5 percentage points in both categories in 2022, amounting to 40 and 43% respectively, and that's amongst 16 to 24-year-olds. A solid 40,000 people were surveyed for this study, by the way. And this brings us to Africa. First of all, let me paint the picture for you. Generally, there are 3 main ways music piracy occurs nowadays across the world, now that CDs are pretty much a thing of the past. Stream ripping is one. Digital Music News explained it best when they said, "Stream ripping is when a song or a video is taken from a streaming platform and converted into a downloadable file for offline use, usually without permission from the streaming service or artist from which they took it. This can be done using a third-party software or web-based service like a website, and in the world we live in today, this happens usually with YouTube. You find a song on YouTube that you like and you're like, wow, this is fire. How do I get this song? And then you go to Google and search YouTube downloader. Then it just says, put your link here, and then you get an MP3. That is stream ripping. The second one is web downloading. And this is when you go directly to a site, that typically stores songs on their own servers and presents them to the audience as blog entries or post types with a playable MP3 with other information like the artwork, name of the song, artist, etc. So you would go there to download the MP3 version of a song to store locally on your own phone or device, and then you can listen to it anytime instead of streaming it each time. Saves data, saves money, but literally takes food out of the artist's mouth. The third mode, and finally, is streaming. Now don't confuse this with just regular streaming. Let me explain. There are many websites or platforms that will allow you to listen to the music, but they aren't official places to do so. And when I say official places, it's the DSPs like your Spotify's, Apple Music, Deezer, Boomplay, Audio Mac, places where the artists are willingly putting their music up there. These illegal platforms that mimic the official DSPs make money through advertising, especially when they get a lot of traffic coming from people going there to their websites to actually listen to the music. This third one exists mostly in Eastern Europe and parts of Asia, interestingly, and just about nowhere else, but I've seen a number of these sites myself. Where does Africa come in all of this? Well, Africa really engages in the first two, stream ripping and web downloading. And you can see the map on the screen to show where across the world these types of piracy are prevalent. Top 5 culprits for music piracy in the world are India, Iran, the US, Russia, and Ukraine. As you can see, web downloads are prevalent in Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Nigeria, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Zambia, and that's on the African front. And then the rest of Africa is doing more of stream ripping. Nigeria being on this list doesn't surprise me. They've had music blogs and MP3 download blogs like 360 Knobs, Niger Loaded, Too Exclusive, Not Just Okay for the longest time, and they're visited frequently and often offer the latest stuff. Some of them might not even exist by now, but what else? Countries like Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Togo also have a number of these blogs like Shotu Babi. Zambia doesn't surprise me being on this list. Their music download blogs are very popular, some even more than official streaming platforms, such that they got so popular that some artists ended up having no choice but to send the latest releases to them to at least feed the market and not be frustrated when their stuff was given out for free. It's less painful that way. But as far as I know, Zambia actually has, for the most part, dealt with these rogue blogs and forced them to officialize the way they do things and not actually offer MP3s as free downloads. So that will be an interesting video and case study that I'll do sometime in the future. Now back to the thing of artists just ending up having no choice and sending their MP3s or latest songs to these rogue blogs. I would say this is a close cousin to this business strategy called loss leading, where you know you're giving away your product for next to nothing. There is no profit, but you use it as a way to eventually attract more customers or to upsell them to something else that then makes you money, hopefully. So artists weighed up the options here and they said, you know what, spend money you don't have dragging these blogs to court, or just ride the wave of the brand recognition the blogs have built. This is kind of what happened with Fakaza in South Africa. Many people in the industry wanted that platform gone for years, bruh. But Fakaza, even in Piracy, did help a lot of songs and artists blow, and gradually a blind eye was turned. It doesn't make it any less illegal, but when a mutual benefit can be kinda indirectly agreed upon, then it becomes a gray area perhaps. This is where a lot of Africa finds itself. So you could say the piracy isn't gone, it's tolerated, ignored, somewhere. On the consumer side, ask yourself this: When someone loves music but cannot afford to or does not want to pay to stream music from legitimate sources for whatever reason, and there are many such people, where do they find their music when they want to hear it anytime, anywhere? Looking back at my own piracy habits in my late teens and early 20s particularly, besides the fact that I couldn't afford to buy CDs as a student in high school and uni, there were other reasons like where I grew up and even where I partially spent my time as an adult were places where I genuinely could not find the music I liked listening to, some of it at least. You couldn't find any Zouk, Kizomba, French rap and R&B anywhere near there. You couldn't even find CDs of that stuff. I started finding the music through internet forums or chat rooms, which were a thing back in those days. And it was tough, man, like downloading MP3s and all that. Totally illegal on the music downloads, these forums, but those were the only places I could source the music, and that was for many, many years. My hands were tied. So we do have to factor in some of these reasons where distribution fails many people. An easy one to pinpoint in the African context is, say, when an album or song is only available on Spotify, but Spotify is not available in your country, so you can't pay for it to access it. What do you do then? Maybe it is available in your country, but you don't have access to a credit card or something like PayPal anyway to do the transaction. What do you do then? Why I am sharing this side of the equation is that at face value, piracy seems like this thing bad people do. But are they always bad people? I don't know. There are some other nuanced avenues of piracy that aren't as easy to see and likely will have very little data or studies on them, however happen to a noticeable scale. Think of sharing audio on WhatsApp, for example, or Telegram channels. This happens a whole lot amongst us while not being attributable to the song creators, the labels, the industry, or anyone there. That's piracy. In essence, most ways of sharing music that the musician and the wider music industry does not know of, cannot keep track of, or monetize are likely going to be in the piracy realm, even if streaming has helped curb that to some degree, and also even if artists themselves might supply the music as resignation that it would reach there anyway. And a lot of it is happening out there. So you tell me, what do you think? Is piracy non-existent in Africa and the world now that CDs are mostly done away with? Or has it taken a new form? Let me know in the comments below. Do like the video and subscribe to the channel. My name is MJ Wemoto, son of Zimbabwe, signing out. Peace. Ndende.